But if you've seen the ads and stuff and the WhatsApp video, you will know that the title of the message is called Undeniable Purpose. So I just want to start off with the intro of what I've created for this message. So what it says is that we spend years, even decades, trying to identify our true purpose in life. Unfortunately, some of us never find it. The good news is that we have an undeniable purpose ordained by God, which is specifically set out for us to fulfill. Tonight, we discover that undeniable purpose. So I just want to start with a small personal story. So in the year 2016, I consider this to be the turnaround year in my life. I was going through a difficult time, and it wasn't as difficult as most people go through, but in that moment I thought it was the end of the world for me. I had a job, I didn't really like it. It was in my field, but I wasn't really comfortable with it. I had pretty much racist managers. I knew there was no growth for me there, and I knew what I wanted in life, and I knew this wasn't the place for me. I started attending prayer meetings on a Wednesday night, and the pastor that did these prayer meetings, his name was Pastor Herbie. I'll probably never forget him in my lifetime. But he's a man, he has one leg, but he goes everywhere, he drives and he does everything. He doesn't complain about anything, he just keeps going. He preached for 8 weeks on Psalm 23. So if you guys haven't read Psalm 23, or if you're taking notes, read Psalm 23 please, and just read the translations and stuff and all the information on the internet. This message changed my life because I don't think I knew what it was to give of myself before I started attending those messages. I've been hearing messages on giving all my life in church, but I didn't understand what it really meant. You know, I always thought, oh, these pastors are after money or something like that, but it was immature thinking, you know, it wasn't calculated thinking. And I think ever since I've changed my life and I've done some things that are different, I think within like 3 months, my life changed. I moved up to Joburg, and I'm well settled in now, and I think this is where I need to be. I think I'm created for this place. So that was just a personal story that I wanted to start it off with, and just where this message is coming from basically. So I just want to start off with 2 definitions. So the first definition is of the word undeniable. So I could have chosen any word. I could have chosen beyond doubt. I could have chosen incontestable. I could have chosen unquestionable, unmistakable, proven, clear-cut, conclusive. So conclusive is one of the deeper ones for me, because when we say that something is conclusive, we're saying that that's it, right? There's nothing else that you can add on to it, okay? It's concluded that Tabo is a male, right? There's nothing else you can say about it. The second word I want to talk about is purpose. So purpose can guide our life decisions. It can influence our behavior, it can shape our goals, it can offer a sense of direction in our lives, and it can create meaning. Purpose is the reason for which something or someone exists. So if you don't have purpose in life, you have no reason to exist, right? Everything has a purpose. I just want to talk about 2 theories quickly, and some of you might know this. I know there's some of you that are in IR and HR and stuff like that. So the first thing is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So all this talks about is it's a pyramid. Right at the top of the pyramid is this thing called self-actualization, right? Below it are all these other things that we try and chase in life. So, for example, physiological needs such as your water, your food, electricity, and so on, and clothing. The second thing is safety and security, and then it goes further and further up till you get to this point of self-actualization. And money can't buy this thing. Money can buy the 2 things in the bottom of the pyramid, but right at the top, and there's 5 things in this pyramid, but right at the top is self-actualization, and money can't buy that. So that's what my message is centered on today. It's purpose, right? Self-actualization is purpose. The other thing I want to talk about is the happiness factor. I watched a TED talk the other day, and this guy spoke about a study that's been done for over 75 years. It's the longest study that's ever been done to determine what makes people happy. And I'll cut to the chase. The thing that makes people happy is strong relationships. So you can do whatever you want in life. You can have the best career, the best car, the best house. If you don't have strong relationships, you will grow old and you will be unhappy. That's what the study says. The study is still going on. It's going on for 7 centuries. So people that left the study now handed it over on to the next people. So if you want the link or whatever to that, I can send it to you guys if you see me afterwards. So I just want to introduce my message tonight and talk about prayer. So prayer is a means by which we remind ourselves and we tell God that God is and we are not. So we're acknowledging that God is greater than us. right? That's why we say God is great, and we sing these songs about God being great. Prayer is not only a means of asking God to act, but it's also a means of asking God to give us opportunities to act. Prayer is the first step, but it's not the final step. We pray as we move into action. Repeat after me. Prayer is an action.
Prayer is an action.
Okay, so in James 1 verse 22 to verse 25, the Bible says that we shouldn't merely listen to the word of God and deceive ourselves. Rather, we should do what it says. Anyone who listens to the word but does not do what it says is like someone who looks at his face in a mirror and after a short while forgets what he looks like. Okay? Whoever looks intently into the perfect law that gives freedom and continues in it, not forgetting what they have heard, but doing it, they will be blessed in life. So this is found in James 1 verse 22 to verse 25. So I want to encourage you today, don't stop praying, but also start doing. Prayer is an action. Today my message revolves around the actions through which we discover our purpose. So repeat after me. We are the miracle.
We are the miracle.
And then tell the person next to you, you are the miracle.
You are the miracle.
And then tell the same person again, I am the miracle.
I am the miracle.
So my message is not intended to be complicated tonight, rather something simple and practical that we can apply immediately. And I want us to leave here tonight changed. I want us to see a difference. I don't believe Christianity is meant to be complicated, and Jesus was a simple person, right? I mean, we read these stories in the Bible of the simplicity of Jesus. Who believes that we are created in the image of God? Raise your hands. Okay, so we all agree that, right? Because it's found in the Bible. It's found in Genesis 1 verse 27. We are created in the image of God and His likeness. So if this is true, isn't our purpose the same as Jesus' purpose, which is the same as God's purpose? So let me tell you what God's purpose was in very simplistic form. God's purpose was to create the heavens and the earths. So where we live today, God created this. His other reason was to send His Son to die for our sin, right? Jesus' purpose was to give His life for you and I. But He manifested on this earth, and He also healed the sick, He blessed the poor, and He encouraged the weak. So shouldn't our purpose be aligned to this, right? Based on the above, I want to highlight our undeniable purpose, in which my message is about today. So it's the crux of my message. Our undeniable purpose is to give of ourselves, to be kind, and to love. Earlier we said that we are the miracle. So why are we the miracle? The answer is that we are highly favored by God. Tell your neighbor, I am highly favored. We have jobs, we have houses to live in, we have cars to travel in, we have sufficient meals a day, we have strong relationships, loving families, finances, access to clean running water, etc. I can go on and on about this. My point is that God has chosen to give us a life that we have full of privilege, blessings, family, provision, and fortune. So the question I wish to pose to you today is, why us? Why did God choose to bless us so much? Ask your neighbor, why me? Why are we not that person living in the poorest country in Africa, such as Somalia, with the lowest gross domestic profit or GDP, with no food, with no water, with no home, with no family life, with no job, with no finances, with no electricity? These people experience economic instability, political instability, wars which have left many of Africa's citizens living in poverty. Why did God choose you and I to have such blessed lives, whilst there are others out there who don't even have their next meal? We act as if God owes us something, when in fact we owe Him something. So we live our best life. We try to constantly be better than the next person. We spend our time chasing goals, becoming wealthy, eating the best, most expensive food, going to the best destinations, buying the best car, the most fancy house, and trying to fit in with this world. However, we don't realize that we are not of this world. We are a chosen generation with a specific purpose. Why is God's faith in us greater than our faith in Him? Does He not tell us not to worry about tomorrow? Surely God didn't create us to just come onto earth and to gain the most wealth and be the most successful person in the room. Surely He had something better in store for us. What if God created us to feed those hungry people in Somalia? What if we are the miracle that millions of people are praying around the world for today? What if we have what it takes to save this world? Do we ask ourselves these questions often enough? Or do we consistently live day by day, trying to focus on ourselves and our personal gain? What if we are like an arrow pulled backward with enormous energy just waiting to be propelled and to impact our nation? What if we are that rock in David's sling that can be used to kill a Goliath? The answer to the many questions I've posed is simpler than we think. We can change the world by doing little things each day, by caring about the next person, by being empathetic, by buying someone a meal, by sharing knowledge, by tipping a car guard, by smiling at the person that cleans your toilets in your workplace, by asking people how they are and actually waiting to hear what their answer is, by respecting someone enough to listen to them and to not look over their shoulder every 5 seconds to see if there's someone more important coming around the corner. We do this every day, right? We should be grateful every day that we have the means and the finances and the privilege to do these things for people. These actions have a ripple effect. Think about a stone being dropped into water. This means that our good deeds are contagious. The small things we do today spread. Our actions have positive consequences. Repeat after me, my actions have positive consequences.
My actions have positive consequences.
So a good example is an example of David and Goliath. David slayed a beast thousands of years ago, and till this day we remember that moment. We spoke about it on Sunday in church. This moment has eternal impact. It's something that someone did that now lives with us thousands of years later. Another good example, and I really enjoy this example, is the example of the disciples. When Jesus called the first 4 disciples, I know the first 2 were Simon and Andrew, and I think it was James and John. They were fishing, they were fishermen, and then when he called them, they didn't think about anything. They left what they were doing and they followed him. Are you willing to do the same? So it's a question that you need to ask yourselves. Are we willing to leave everything that we've worked for in this world to now follow Jesus and follow our true purpose? Can you imagine that Jesus died for us? He went through that extreme to save his people. We don't need to be so drastic. Jesus is not asking us to do these things, rather to do the little things for people around us. Repeat after me. Life supports what supports more life.
Life supports what supports more life.
Almost like a tongue twister, eh? Okay. How many of you have done your part for something? So you worked hard, you studied, you put in the effort, and the reward of it was much more than you expected. Can I see your hands? So you have a job now that you feel you don't deserve. You have finances that you feel you don't deserve. You have a family that you feel you don't deserve. The forces of this world somehow work together to give us what we want, and these forces are controlled by God. It's like when you tithe in church or when you give of something, somehow it comes back to you. It's not, you can't explain it, it's inexplainable, but it comes back to you eventually. I'm challenging you today, collective. Pray that God passes your blessings that He had for you onto someone else. Try that. Do this when you give, do this when you pray. Tell God that you want more of Him and less of you. How are you using your 86,400 seconds a day? Are you using it to gain wealth, to upset people, to speak down on others? Or are you using it to uplift people, to acknowledge people, to give of yourself? It's your choice how you choose to live your 86,400 seconds a day. Winston Churchill has a quote. So what he says is that we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. Giving is not an act, it's a lifestyle. It's like brushing your teeth every morning. When we brush our teeth, we don't post that on social media to show off on how well we brushed our teeth and how white it is. But rather the result of white, clean teeth with no plaque is good enough reason for you to show people that you've done this. You don't need to post it anyway. So in the same light, make your giving a personal experience. And I know we've been doing this a lot. We've been having outreaches, and I thank you for your support. But we need to be careful not to publish our giving, because when we do, whether we post it or we tweet it or if we share it with someone, that will be our reward. The fame of that moment is our reward. So we need to give in silence. The Bible speaks about this in Matthew 6. It talks about how people used to do these things in public, and that was their reward, the fame that they got out of that moment. I just want to give you another personal example. So I think it was 3 years ago in Durban, we decided to feed people in the community. And I wasn't really like 100% involved in this whole thing, and someone else was arranging it. But we actually created hampers for people, and then we made them stand behind it. And basically there's a line, and people are standing behind the hampers. And I thought to myself, what an embarrassing moment. We are the lucky ones because we can afford to buy those things to give to those people, yet we make it seem like they're the lucky ones. So I think we just need to take a step back sometimes, and we need to think about our actions and how we do things. I just want to end off with talking about empathy. So with everything I've discussed today, I mean, I've discussed giving, I've discussed being kind. I think sometimes all we need to do is to listen to people. Sometimes if I'm having a conversation with my Shilo, for example, and he's going through something, if I didn't listen to him and if I didn't have that conversation with him, I wouldn't know what he's going through. And I think it's important because we talk about community, and we spoke about it as well today, about how good this community is. But I challenge you to take the time to listen to someone. Don't respond, listen. When someone says that they bought a new car, don't say, I've bought a better car. Just say, well done, congratulations. I see, never mind. Someone did that today. Yeah. So I just want to end off the message talking about empathy, as I said. So I think just be courteous to the people around you. Think about the next person's feelings. If you don't have something to give to them, listen to them. It doesn't cost you anything. In the morning when you get to work, smile at the person that's a security guard. I mean, the guy works 12-hour shifts. He probably hasn't seen a smile the entire night. When you get there at 6 in the morning and you smile to him, or maybe 8 in the morning, when you smile at him, you probably made his night. So we need to think about these small actions that we do.